Hey, friend, it's great to be with you here on this Leaders.Church blog. I am today with my good friend Caleb Rankin. And Caleb and I have known each other. How long have we known each other, Caleb? 15 years? 20?
15 years.
Yeah.
Around 15 years, yeah.
Wow, yeah. Boy, that means you're getting to be an old guy. I hope you know that. So
Yes, I am.
Anyway, Caleb and Kim Rankin are great friends, and they have been children's pastors for a number of years. In fact, here, you want to just put a note down, Pastor, in the next couple of weeks, about 2 weeks from today, I believe, you're going to see a new resource released from Leaders.Church called the Kid Min Track of Training Inside of Church University. And Caleb and Kim Rankin are the presenters in that powerful, I don't know, what did we end up with? About 40, 45 videos teaching, training on A to Z on kids ministry. So Caleb really has been a student of parents, a student of children, and I want to talk to him today about the very specific spot we find ourselves in the local church where parents are finding that this online church really has been a very convenient thing for them. They have found that they can get up in the morning on their schedule. They can catch whichever service they like online. They can sit there in their pajamas and drink their coffee or have their breakfast and just go on about life that way. And one of the concerns I'm seeing out there is that there can be a missed opportunity with children where parents who are solid in the faith just begin to go on with life in the online church, but they're not factoring what's going to happen to the kids. So Caleb, I wonder if you could just give us a little jump start into some of the things that you would be thinking that pastors should do to help their parents understand the importance of the body coming back together as churches are reopening.
Well, I think when it comes to pastoring parents, I think there's a couple ways it has to be. There's the platform approach. Whenever you're speaking from the platform, to the congregation, there's that approach when it's talking about the importance of getting your kids into church, and then of course speaking about even the safety. That's probably one of the biggest concerns I've been hearing is parents are just not sure it's a safe environment. And so addressing those concerns, we're using disinfectants, we're using kid-friendly disinfectants on the chewable toys and things like that for the preschool area. And that approach of from the platform, promoting the kids ministry, saying how it's a safe place. And that's one thing really I've noticed over the years, especially post 9/11, is especially with the unchurched parents, the safety is even a bigger concern than what they're learning. They want to make sure their kids are safe. And I think that's still in the back of some parents' minds as a reason maybe not to bring their kids back into church. Is it a safe environment? They're going to be a bunch of other kids, and often they may see the kids' ministry area as like a giant petri dish, just waiting for germs to attach to their kids. And so one thing I think when the pastor is talking from the platform in particular, it would be emphasizing the safety measures that are being taken in regards to social distancing, that the volunteers are all wearing masks, that you're using these kid-friendly disinfectants, things like that help maybe those parents who are nervous about germs and help put their mind at ease. So if that's an underlying reason. And then, of course, there's the personal conversations parents and pastors would have. So there may be times when a pastor is personally one-on-one talking with a parent. And at that point, they can get to the heart of the matter, maybe a little easier, why it is that they may be hesitant to bring their kids back and helping them walk through the importance of fellowship. And I'm sorry, I love Skype. I love seeing your beautiful face. But it's nothing like talking to you face to face. It's not the same. First of all, I don't even know where I'm supposed to look, right? Am I supposed to look at the screen, the camera? And so it's just awkward. We, during the isolation, whatever they call it, the quarantine time, basically, my wife and I led a youth small group time on Zoom. And it was awkward. It's no fun. So for us and everybody that we know, we were ready to get back into person. But there may be parents that aren't. And that really, a lot of it is going to require some personal pastoring, some direct conversation with the importance of meeting in person as best as possible. I understand, social distancing and measures need to be taken, and parents need to be aware that those are being taken. But if it's a convenience factor, if it's I just get to go to church in my PJs factor. Then there's as a pastor, I think the importance of challenging that with the parents. And we walk through that not with just with this COVID crisis. We walk through it with sports. We talked about, whatever is important to you as a parent is going to become important to the child. And if you're placing a high priority on even sports over church or other activities over church, you might want to evaluate that. And that was more of I would never have said that from the stage. That would have been I know the parent, I'm going to have a more personal conversation with them. So there's two different kinds of conversations. There's the platform conversation when I would say you're emphasizing, in a very positive manner, we're keeping things safe. We're taking measures. We want to see our kids. It's not going to be the same as online. But then, of course, the personal conversations that should be happening off the stage with the parents.
Well, and you're going to notice, I'm glad you mentioned that prioritizing. If you'll check, go ahead and take a look at the blog here with this video. You'll see the second point we talked about was the issue of determining priorities.
Right.
And if sports is a priority in your home, that is normal for the child as the child moves into adulthood. If church is a priority in your home, then that is normal for the child. So as an adult, we see things, we see different pockets of time in our life because of our age. But a child, you remember when you're a kid forever because that's all you know. Right. And so this is where it's critical that parents are setting the priority and that the pastors are helping the parents do that. And I think you said it so well, Caleb. You say it one way from the stage, from the pulpit. You say it another way in personal interactions. And frankly, Pastor, I wouldn't pull any punches when you're having personal interactions. You just have to talk straight to people because you're encouraging parents to play the long game.
Right.
And the challenge with the convenience of online church is that is in the moment. That is not playing the long game. And while a parent I could argue maybe not, but a parent could say, I can do this online thing forever. A kid can't, because a kid is going to come up and turn up 18 years old. They don't have relationships. And so you're going to see in the blog, we talk about the importance of the parent picking the friends for the children. My wife and I did that for our two kids, and it served us very, very well. And guess where we picked those kids? We picked those kids out of the body of Christ in the local church. I want to mention something too, pastors, that Caleb and I were talking about this before we jumped on the recording. There's a range of views of this COVID-19 thing. And you have a view, and the parents in your church have a view. All the way from this is the craziest, goofiest, biggest joke I've ever seen to this is the most serious pandemic we've ever experienced in our lifetime. To one, these crazy masks are worthless, to I've got to have a mask to protect me from everything. And you have that range, Pastor, and parents have that range. You have to be aware of that as you're talking to pastors. So this issue Caleb talked about early on, the safety issue, it may not feel like much to you, but it could be a very, very big thing to those parents. Is that right, Caleb? Are we hitting the right theme here?
Yeah, I would say that for sure. And you want to err on the side of safety, just for the fact that I think about there's a girl that attends our church who has cystic fibrosis, and so she'd be considered a high risk. And I know she was there the first Sunday church opened, and she was excited about being in church. She was wearing a mask, and I was happy to wear a mask just so I could see her in church. And when I process the mask thing, and I've run the gamut myself. I've gone from it's causing disease in me, because every time I wear one, I do feel more sinusy just because I'm breathing my own oxygen and carbon dioxide and all that. So I've gone from that, as well as, and I've settled on the mindset, if it can help someone who's just afraid, whether or not the mask, it's inconsequential whether or not the mask helps or not. If it's helping someone who's afraid be more comfortable about being in church, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it
That's
helping that person be in God's house.
That's exactly what Paul would say to us. If Paul were addressing this, that's exactly the way he would approach it.
Yeah. So, yeah, because it's like some people like master foolish, but Paul says, I'll become foolish to win fools over, So for me, it's a matter of I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure people are able to be comfortable and feel like they can come to church. And so that's the approach I've taken. I'm going to set my rights. I think Americans, we're big on our rights. And so I think we're like, it's a violation of my rights to make me wear a mask. But for me, it's just like, I'm going to set aside certain rights.
Right.
I set aside a lot of rights so that people can hear the gospel, so that they can be in fellowship in the church. So I'm willing to set those rights aside just so that people can hear the gospel. I mean, it's worth it. And like you said, Paul addressed it. That's how our attitude should be. We think about, like, when he talks about our attitude should be like that of Christ, he left heaven, paradise. He left that to come here, and it'd be almost like coming to a dumpster,
Yeah.
And so if he was willing to do that, I can wear a mask.
Yeah.
That's how
and honestly, Caleb, just to commit accommodation to you and for pastors, I want you to hear, this is one of the things I appreciate about what Caleb and Kim have done in the KidMin track of Church University. You're going to hear this kind of approach throughout that tremendous course that's going to help your kids pastor. It's going to help your children's workers be better, break barriers, and contribute to growing the church because of the spirit of what you're hearing with Caleb. Now, Caleb's not saying that to have me, pat him on the back. But I mean, that's the reality of what we're dealing with here. Caleb, is there anything else that pastors should be thinking of in terms of helping the parents in their church understand the importance of getting the kids back into the body?
The first thing that came to my mind when you even asked me about having this Skype conversation was Genesis chapter 2, all the way back to creation, when God made Adam, and everything He made, all of His creation was good. When you read at the end of every day, it was good. Yeah. You get to chapter 2, the first thing that God said is not good is for man to be alone, and that's true. It's not good for us to be alone, and as great as technology is helping bring us together, it's still not what I would say God intended for us.
Right.
And so isolation is really not healthy at all for us. As our pastor puts it, isolation makes people weird. And it's true. You don't see a lot of, hermits that are just, socially adept. And so isolation does make us weird. And involving kids, these are the skills they're learning at that age. And if they're not learning at that age, they're going to develop improper habits on how to handle awkward situations, how to handle conflict, how to handle just dealing with people who aren't like us. If all we're doing is surrounding ourselves with like-minded kids or with just our family, then we're not allowing people to challenge us. We're not allowing people to help us to grow. And God wants us to be together for those reasons, so that we can grow, so we can develop into the people God wants us to be. When we were raising our son, we never really called it raising a child. We're raising an adult. He's just a child right now.
Yeah.
And having that, like you said, that long-term mindset is important. And I think parents need to understand that, and they may not hear that from anyone other than a pastor. And so pastors need to, especially with those one-on-one conversations, and you're going to have it. I've had it where it gets a little awkward when you talk about coming to church, and they're just like, well, we've got this. And at that moment, you're kind of having to cross a threshold in the conversation to making them feel uncomfortable about that. Yeah. And it's awkward. But it's not our job to make people feel comfortable.
But it's right. It's right, for a pastor to speak truth to parents.
Right.
I got to tell you one of the great experiences I had when now it wasn't a great experience at the time, but this was back when we were raising our kids, and we're in Des Moines, and our youngest, they're 3 years apart, and our daughter was the youngest, and on Sunday night we would be generally one of the last to leave. And every Sunday night, who are we looking for? We're looking for Erin, our daughter. Where is she? Well, she's hiding out. She's running all over the church, and it wasn't a small church. So we're trying to figure, where in the world are you? Of course, we're ticked off when we finally find her. Come on, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. But when I look back on that, I think, how grateful am I? I know she was just being a nerdy 9-year-old kid, but how grateful am I that this kid wants to stay at church.
Yeah.
Now, there clearly was no spiritual peace in her saying, I want to be, but the fact is, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Wanted to be in this place that her family said is so important to her. So,
yeah. I think it's another thing that would be a part of that conversation is even challenging the parents and what their attitude sounds like in regards to church. Is it, we got to go to church today, or is it we get to go to church today?
Oh, boy.
Come on, let's get up. We got to get to church. Or, hey, we get to go to church today.
Yeah.
Having that attitude and modeling that attitude with their children is super important because they're gonna mimic you. They're taking their social cues, they're taking emotional cues from parents, and so if parents are seeing it as just a deed that has to be done, that's how kids are going to see it. And when they get older, they'll see it as an option they can just discontinue. And so whenever we're parenting kids in that, our attitude towards going to church and being in church is, I get to be in God's house. I get to be among other Christians. I get to hang out with my friends who are also believers. And it's super important. But if we're saying this is another thing on our list we have to do for the week, kids are going to see it that way. And when they get older, they'll see it as just something they can not have to do.
Well, and I referenced that in the blog, Bruce Wilkinson had written a tremendous piece on the 4 generations of faith. The first generation experiences faith, which is where we all want to be. The second generation is an inheritance of faith, and that's a good thing. We want the children in our home to inherit faith. Yes, they have to make that personal profession of faith, but it's good to be in a home where Christ is the center of the previous generation. The problem is, if you start taking, Pastor, this is where you can help parents. If you start making decisions in the home that say that faith is an option, that really moves you to the third generation, which is that faith becomes a convenience. I can kind of take it when I want it and not when I don't. And that's dangerous. And the fourth generation is faith is a nuisance, and that is disastrous. So while we're parenting, pastors, while you're helping your parents learn to parent the long game, they have got to focus on how everything is seen through the eyes of the child to ultimately move to experience and being in church. Yes, they can learn faith, and they do learn faith in your home, but being in the community of believers is absolutely critical. Caleb, give us a hitch up. What is one thing, if they don't remember anything, a pastor doesn't remember anything from this, what do you want them to remember?
Oh, man. I would say, technology is great as a Band-Aid solution to whatever the problem is. If someone's, immune compromised, the technology that can bring you together is great. There's no replacement for being able to, when possible, it be in fellowship. There's just no replacement for it, and we will see the outcome of that if we continue to go in and along those lines of just digitally meeting. I get it. If it has to happen, it has to happen. But the more in fellowship we can get, the better it is. It is not good for man to be alone. We're not meant to do life alone.
Yeah, exactly. Caleb, I just so appreciate you taking time to jump on this recording with us. And Pastor, I hope you have found this helpful. Be sure again to look through the blog and feel free to leave any comments you'd like. And we're just here to serve you and help you. Again, keep your eye peeled for the KidMin track of Church University coming out in a couple weeks, where it's going to be fun and it's going to help your kids pastor and your children's workers be all they need to be for you, the Lord, the church. So thanks very much for hanging out with us today. Make it a great one, and be blessed.